Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar today. Today we are doing a webinar with AnyVision. They're going to talk about their Better Tomorrow product. It's about facial and people recognition. And so today I have with me Tiffany Teplin, and I'll have her introduce herself in just a moment. But first I will introduce myself. I am Alyssa Mathis, and I am with Convergint Technologies. I am our Aviation account executive. So I work with our product partners and our local account executives to help our airports get the technologies they need to help better their airports. So our agenda for today is up on the screen right now. So we're just going to do these introductions, and then AnyVision is going to start their presentation. And then at the end, we'll have a Q&A. There's a section for you guys to ask questions on the Q&A. Feel free to submit them. And when we get to the end part of the Q&A, I will ask those questions and we will give you answers to any we can. If you think of any after the end, my contact information will also be up so that you can take that down. And if you think of any questions afterwards, you can contact me at that point. So now I am going to hand this over to Tiffany to introduce herself. Tiffany, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Tiffany Teplin. I'm with AnyVision, and today I'm going to talk a little bit, as Alyssa mentioned, about enhancing safety in uncertain times. So our software specifically is facial recognition technology. I'm going to see if I can get this presentation to share. So as we get into this, I would like to give a little bit of introduction. I'm not sure if Brian Cross was able to join us, but Brian Cross is our VP of Sales in North America, and I am Tiffany Templin. I am a Strategic Accounts Director for our North American team, helping with Convergent specifically. So about AnyVision, we are artificial intelligence designers and developers with over 20 years of experience in AI, deep learning, and computer vision. Our mission is to make AI accessible to the world for a better tomorrow. And our vision is to make all cameras smart. How can computer vision help organizations adapt to this new reality? We've had to change our focus, as I'm sure all of you out there have as well, with the new environment that we've been faced with. What we've done is rededicate our core computer vision technology, our expertise, and our resources to supporting the organizations and businesses on the front lines of enhancing safety. What we know now is nobody wants to touch public surfaces. I know that now that I can actually leave my house for the first time, that when I'm in public and I have to really think about what I'm doing. So use cases. Leading organizations are enhancing their safety capabilities with AI computer vision. We're increasing security around people, premises, and property. We need to enable touchless access control and entry controls and provide customers with secure remote security. We create products that transform industries. The products that we're leading with today are Better Tomorrow, which is our identity management and alerting system, Abraxas, which is our secure contactless access control, and Sesame, which is online identity onboarding and authentication. Better Tomorrow is our automated identity alerting and search with superior accuracy in world conditions. The old world security solution was people staring at screens. It's impossible for human operators to know who's who at scale. And it's really hard to expect the human operators to catch everything. In the new world, we have AI-driven computer vision. A user is able to upload a watch list of known software connected to existing cameras and VMS. So you're able to use all of your existing infrastructure, your existing cameras with your watch list. So as we're looking at that, your watch list could be people that you're on the lookout for. It could be VIPs. It could be employees. We can create multiple watch lists in order for you to receive automated alerts based on what those people are doing. One of the things we've recently released is contact tracing. So when you look at this here, we have a person of interest that we've identified. We're able to click on that person of interest and then determine who has been in contact with that person and for how long. So when you're looking at it, we can set thresholds to say, if you've been in contact with me for 5 minutes or longer, or we can change that if you want 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and then we're able to create a path map showing where that person has been and a real-time route of our person of interest. With visual intelligence, we upload the photo of a known carrier, or you can take a photo out of the existing alert system and identify the path of life. Once we've done that, we enable the contact tracing and identify the additional individuals. So you'll see here, this is actually a login to our web browser software, which will allow you to see our software today. So we're going to zoom in on our office in Israel. Once we do this, by clicking on the existing cameras, we can zoom even farther onto the map. So this map is something that is existing in the system, and you can upload additional maps into your software based on your buildings. So as we're doing this, we're scrolling through the people and we're able to determine who we're looking for. When we get in face recognition, which is really our core technology, we're looking for a person of interest. So we're able to search by, we can filter in several different ways. So in this way, we're going to upload someone's badge photo and then put them into the system. Once we've done that, then we can click search. I think my screen froze. There we go. Then we can click search. Technical difficulties. So moving on into our Abraxas products. Abraxas is our touchless access control that provides the fastest entry response and the highest accuracy in every environment. How does Abraxas work with your existing cameras? What you'll see here is these are existing security cameras placed, and the gentleman on the left was able to walk up. The camera was able to let him in almost seamlessly. And this is going to happen obviously through turnstiles. These are existing cameras that are already in their environment. They didn't have to add anything for the purpose of this. In addition to that, we have our Abraxas Point, which is a tablet for entry points without existing camera infrastructure. So if you have an existing location where you need to add something, we can do that. So here is Abraxas Point, which if you look on the wall, it's the blue screen, and we're able to let this gentleman into the secure data center with an additional level of security around liveness. Here's another image, which you'll see a little bit better of what the user experience looks like. So as the gentleman approaches it with his face, he's able to get into the building. The question we get very often is, how does Abraxas prevent spoofing? So you'll see here in this video. Oh, I guess we want this video. Let's see if it'll play. So what you should see in this video is a gentleman who's also got a picture of himself on his cell phone, and we're able to determine that the person on the cell phone is not in fact a live person. But as soon as he shows his face back into the screen, we can say yes, he is. The same with the picture that he's holding of himself. We're saying no, he's not alive, and yes, the person is actually a live person. This is something that spoofing has really come up as a lot of questions with different people on how we're doing this. So I know there are a lot of questions around facial recognition, thermal, mask detection as we get back into the world. This is something that we have on our bench currently. It is not a product that's available today, but it's something that we are working on to answer some of those additional questions. So something that really comes up as we get farther into discussions about our technology are ethics and privacy. These are two things that are very important to our company, and I want to make sure that we address them. We, as providers of a facial recognition technology, have an inherent responsibility to ensure that our technology are used properly, ethically, and lawfully. We spend a lot of time with our internal legal department and also with our customers to make sure that we are answering these questions, that when we have been training our models, that we're doing it in a fair and ethical way, that we have transparency about the limitations of our software, and that we have consent for our partners. And we know that what we're doing, and we advocate for lawful surveillance. When it comes to data privacy, we have anonymous processing. So the software is actually extracting a mathematical vector around the features of my face, rather than saying this is Tiffany. It's creating that anonymous mathematical vector. We also have the ability to face blur. So when you're looking at a person of interest and you say that I'm the person that you're interested in, if Alyssa were in the background here, we can actually blur her face because she's not the person that we're looking for. It would just be me. We can also change this into a privacy mode. And we also have the ability to change and customize your watch list, your controls, and how long you're keeping any of that additional information. So at this time, I'd like to turn it back over to Alyssa to get into the Q&A. And if possible, we may turn some of this over to Brian if he's joined.
And it does look like Brian has been able to join via call. So Brian, if you have anything you want to add quickly before we jump into that Q&A, feel free to go ahead and add some information if you'd like.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, I'm in the web portal, but I think I'm in as an attendee on the wrong link, so I apologize to everyone for that. But here by phone, the only thing I would add, great job, but the only thing I would add is that for those of you that are on, obviously from the aviation space, it's probably important for you to know some about our market share and our current deployments in aviation. We're currently deployed in about a dozen airports. We've also been tested and certified, or tested and reported on, I should say, by the Safe Skies Alliance, which of course doesn't provide any endorsements or anything, but they do provide the testing. That information can be made available if you reach out to Alyssa or Tiffany. You have to be an operator in order to get that information due to the sensitive nature of it, the classified testing parameters within an actual airport. But that information can be made available to you as well to better understand how our technology actually performed with existing infrastructure in an airport environment. As Tiffany mentioned, we don't require you to put all new cameras. We're llooking to make your existing cameras smarter and more effective for you. So that testing and report can help you understand how we can do that. So that's the only thing I would add in terms of how we perform, or how we have performed inside of the aviation space in particular.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Brian, for adding that in. So at this time, you have one question. So the Abraxas system has like a tablet on it, which looks like that's what's doing the facial recognition. But let's say a client has an existing camera above their door or next to their door or whatever the case. Would you be able to use that existing camera to work with the Abraxas system and tie that into their current access control to open the door?
Yeah, so I'll take that, Tiffany, if you don't mind. So the answer to that is yes. So as you saw in the video with his name is Philip, one of our engineers, demonstrating an anti-spoofing attempt showing a cutout picture of himself versus his actual physical self. What we've developed is a custom neural network that runs through our software that is running from existing cameras. The customization of it is that it can tell the difference between a 2D and a 3D image. So it's able to pull out the real human versus the spoof attempt or the presentation attack of a 2D image of a person. So the answer is yes. Obviously, the benefits are many. One is you already have that there. Two is it's more budget friendly. Three is it can be faster through the information security process. You don't have another device to certify. You don't have another device on the wall, so to speak. So there's many benefits to sort of why we developed what I call IP sensor liveness. As far as integration into your existing access control system, I don't think we mentioned it too much, but we do have both deep and light integration capabilities. Deep integration is more of a software-based triggering. Light integration adds an extra hop in the data. It doesn't slow it down or anything like that, but both integrations provide for a database sync. Which is a very key consideration for a lot of folks probably on the phone today who have large databases. You don't want to have to re-enroll everybody. So we can use your existing image library that sits in Secure or Linnell or wherever that rests today and do a one-time mass import and set up an interval sync going forward so that you have one active photo library that we just share off of.
Awesome. That was a great explanation, Brian. Thanks for that. Another question would be, what access control systems are you guys, or video systems as well, are you currently integrated to?
Yeah, great question. Very timely. We were discussing this at length this morning. So our light, starting with access control and the Abraxas solution, we have a deep integration completed with ProWatch from Honeywell, CQR 2.7 and 2.8, as well as the Bosch access control system, the BIS. We are able to, through our light integration, integrate to virtually any system out there, but we have completed gateways done for Linnell, AMAG, Avigilon, Genetec, and whether or not those turn into deep integrations in the future will really be what our customers tell us. So the short answer is we can integrate to virtually 90% of the market. The longer answer is, if it depends on some customizations and whatnot, we'd have to look into those. On the video side, we have some existing integrations. We're not focused as heavily as we used to be on video integration, largely because what we found was very few customers actually use off-the-shelf integrations. And we were developing these integrations, and then the customer would have to go find data services companies or partners like Convergint to customize or add to our integration. So we've kind of taken the approach of, we'll just do that from the beginning. So someone like Convergint or a third-party partner or even your own IT organization can access our API. We have all the documentation. We have some API support, and you can make it work pretty much exactly how you want it to. We do have some legacy video integrations into Verint, Genetec, Milestone, and some others. But moving forward, really, we're focused on our UI that you saw in the video and our sort of core competencies and helping support the customers with what they need from the integrations.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian. I guess another follow-up to kind of add on to that too is, so we know you guys can use existing cameras for your software, obviously, has been mentioned in the webinar, but is there a base minimum for what the camera needs to be to really be able to recognize a face or people, like, megapixels wise, or, whether it's, IP or, certain manufacturers that work best for you that you guys would recommend?
Yeah, another great question. So we attach to an RTSP feed. So as long as it's an on-VIF camera, you're good to go there. We have a best practices when it comes to cameras. We don't really have a hard and fast rule. We like 1080 by 1920, 2 megapixels, standard IP, or better. As far as, we typically would do face rec somewhere between 5 and 15 frames per second. We don't have to disrupt your existing streaming or recording setup. We can, again, attach directly to the stream, either from the VMS or directly from the camera, and be non-disruptive. But generally speaking, any camera with an IP address that is ONVIF compliant can run through our system. We've trained all our neural networks on analog and 1 megapixel images and below. So performance-wise, what you'll find is that environmental challenges typically present more problems than camera challenges. And by that, I mean the height of the camera in an airport environment. The curbside cameras typically won't work because they're 80 feet directly above your head. So angles, sometimes occasionally lighting, depending on where it is. So more of the environmentals will present software challenges as opposed to the actual camera and the image sensor.
Okay, good to know. And to kind of follow up on that, if let's say a client has existing cameras and they're wondering if it would work, or do you guys kind of work with them and and the integrator, obviously it's Convergint, to look at these cameras and let them know whether or not the software will work on them or not beforehand?
Absolutely. Yeah, we've got a couple of ways we've got a few ways to do testing and validation. First, we can run a system from the cloud. Not very common in the aviation space because opening the network for us to attach to a stream is typically a no-no. But that is out there as an option for anyone that's on the line that could take advantage of that. Secondly, is we can work with Convergint to do a POC on site. You can come in, and whether it's access control or identity management or both, set up a statement of work, get that done for you, run it for a couple of days, prove the validity, performance of your existing network. And then third is we have a tool. So the identity management solution is a live alerting platform, but it also provides a forensics module where you can feed it recorded footage, and it will scan it, and it'll index all the faces that it sees and compare them to your database. We can use the forensics tool to scan footage. So if you have a camera and you're interested in how it would perform, you can actually send it to us, or we can jump into a Zoom room or whatever and spend 5 minutes just analyzing the stream right then and there. And you can see the green bounding box and the alarms going off or whatnot. Basically the performance of our system on your existing network without us coming on site at all.
That's great. So I kind of have a 3-part question here from someone. So I'm going to ask it in parts. Well, I'll ask it all, and then if you need me to re-ask any of the questions, let me know, just so that you kind of get the whole picture, and then we can dive into each question if you want. So the first part, it says, how does the Abraxas system work with allowing people into certain areas? Do they use profiles from a system like SAFE, which would be HID's identity management system, I think they're referring to, or do they have to upload a database into the AnyVision system? Also, can you create access groups that would restrict people from certain areas? So let me know if you want me to read any of that, Brian.
Yeah, no, I jotted down 3 bullets here. So first and foremost, we don't do any decision making in Abraxas. So that handles most of the questions we get around access rights and permission. What we do is we tell your access control system that you swiped. You don't physically swipe, of course, because we do that for you by seeing and validating your face. That validation, or virtual swipe, if you want to call it that, goes to the access control system where the decision is made. If you have access to that door, you're going to get in. If you don't, you won't. So in terms of cordoning off areas, an existing individual's access rights will be exactly how they are in the access control system, unless you use some of our groups, which is sort of the third bullet. So we do have some capabilities around grouping, largely built for customers that have many, many sites and they want to allow people to go to and from. They can build special groups and whatnot. So we have some capabilities around groups, but most of the decision making, if not all, in a standard deployment lives and stays in your access control system. So that's those 2. And then the database, as I mentioned, the database question, we actually will import. We do have to have a database in our system. So most often what we'll do is we'll import the image library from the access control system. If you don't have an image library, we can build one, either from a live detection or from an import of, badge photos or some other image source. So I hope that answers all 3 prongs of that one. But definitely let me know if there's a follow-up.
I think you got all 3 of them, so that's perfect. So another question, which I think Tiffany maybe touched on this a bit during her presentation, but maybe we can dive a little bit deeper. Are you able to protect the privacy of people in the background if you're only focused on one person that is your person of interest?
Yeah, great question. And the answer is yes. So first and foremost is we can tell the camera if it's an existing camera. So again, well, let me back up again. Two different products with Abraxas, with the access control solution. We can take your existing camera or our tablet and create the field of view that is to be accepted for access. So if you have a security camera at a door, that's going to have 130, 160, whatever degrees of view. But obviously, to the question's point, you don't want everyone in the background to potentially trip the door or be a privacy violation. So we can crop the pixels that we're actually analyzing so that we ignore everything else except the face being presented for entry to the door. For the Better Tomorrow solution, as Tiffany mentioned, we take GDPR very serious. We're a European company at heart, so we built all of our technology with GDPR in mind. And what we do is, because Better Tomorrow, the identity management solution, will index everybody that it sees, we have a setting in there that allows you to basically not detect anybody that you're not looking for. So if you're in the scene, but you're not in the database, the software will ignore you. So privacy, or the right to remain anonymous, as they call it in GDPR, is upheld. And as Tiffany mentioned, kind of one step further to that, the right to be forgotten is also capable, where you can configure the system to purge any data or do a targeted delete if someone comes to you and requests to be removed from all your systems. So we built all that functionality in, a couple of years ago, more than a couple of years ago now, when GDPR took hold.
Awesome. So another question is, does your system run on GPUs, CPUs? How much bandwidth does someone really need to run a system like this? I mean, obviously, it's probably somewhat dependent on, how many cameras the software is on and stuff like that. But if you could at least talk to the idea behind it, that would probably be great.
Yeah, great question. So first and foremost, we don't sell the hardware. We do help you build the back end. We help you spec it. Our engineers will work with you, whether Convergint is providing that as part of their statement of work, or whether your IT department is, insisting on providing that per their standard. We can help you work through that. It is very workload dependent, as the question mentions. It is a per camera GPU RAM question. We do use both GPU and CPU. We use more GPU than CPU. So typically the question around hardware I get is, can I put this on my NVRs, my existing infrastructure, video infrastructure? Usually the answer is no, because those NVRs, those existing servers, won't have the horsepower that an application like this AI needs, namely GPUs. So we do need GPU. We're certified on a number of different GPU platforms. So if you have a preference or a standard for that infrastructure in your data center, again, we can work with you to provide you with the benchmarks for, it's got to be V100 from NVIDIA. We can tell you exactly what you'll get out of a card, so on and so forth. So we can work very closely with you, depending on what the workload actually is.
Great, awesome. So one final question, and this looks more like one I'll kind of take an answer, but in previous webinars, we have mentioned that our partners are on our contract vehicles, Sourcewell, Omnia, and CPA. And so they're wondering if you're also on those contract vehicles. And so I'll kind of take that, because that's what I normally deal with. And the short answer for now is they are not on it yet. However, me and Tiffany are working together to get that pricing ready and work with our contract vehicle team to get them submitted so that they will be on our contract vehicles, and so that you can supplement the bid process with that as well. So we will get there. We're working through it right now. And if you shoot me an email and you want to know once they're on it, I will be happy to let you know as soon as we get them added to the contract vehicles. We do updates about every 3 to 4 months to our contract vehicles. So it's just waiting for the next update, getting it approved by my contract vehicle team, and then moving forward with it. So it doesn't look like there's any other questions right now. So Tiffany, Brian, I want to thank you both for joining. I think that was a really great Q&A session we had there. If there's anything else you guys want to add before we sign off and give people some of their day back? Let me know.
Nope, all good. Just a thank you for hosting us, and thanks to everybody for attending.
Awesome. Okay, well, it was great to have you all on our webinar. Feel free to reach out with any questions. Thanks for joining.